And interestingly, if you see a lot of stories in Puranas, and this is very subtle, they say that even the evil, the bad guy or the Danavs, if they basically pray to a god, the god has to
Giving
appear.
them the boon.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
It simply means that the nature or the Prakriti do not differentiate. Anybody who reaches out to Prakriti in a form, in through a sadhana, through a process, you will get aligned. It does not really matter who you are. Do you see this? Namaste. My name is Bidhan. 2012 is when I chanced upon Upanishads, and it had a profound impact on my life. Since then, I have dreamt to bring the key aspects of Upanishads in a manner which is simple, relatable, and implementable in our daily lives. So here we are with a set of videos to make spirituality simple. Welcome, Preeti.
Hi, Vidhan.
So we are on a very simple yet very uncomfortable topic. Does God exist?
Yes.
Right?
What I want to ask today is, I think, something we left off in the last conversation,
Okay.
where people, there are saints, there are people who say that they have had experiences with God, visions of God.
Right.
Some of them say that they have seen God.
Right.
Right? So I want to ask about that. And of course, I want to talk about that all their experiences seem different. Like everyone has a different experience with God. Is there actually one reality? Is there one truth?
You're saying one experience of God.
Yeah.
So shall I ask you something? When you're talking about a lot of saints and people who had experiences of God, have they clearly said that they have experienced a separate God which is all powerful, all knowing, all compassionate? Have they given a description like this?
No, I don't know that, but I just know that they have said that they've had visions of God.
Okay, fine. That's important that they had visions of God. And how that God has been described is something which can be very different. So the point I'm trying to make here is two. One, I'm not questioning their vision, their experiences. But at the same time, how it gets interpreted can be very different.
Right.
Right? So at the same time, how it gets interpreted for a person who had the vision can also be very different. So there are two layers. One, the person who had a vision. And the second, that vision when it got interpreted by masses. So there are two things which is happening simultaneously. And we need to look at both the levels. So let's look at the first level. And to explain that, I'll basically take you through some logical steps.
Right.
Let's do that. So you can see.
I can see. Yes.
Yeah. A pigeon can also see.
Yes.
Right. And hawk or an eagle can also see.
Yes.
Now, whose power of seeing is the best?
The highest.
The highest.
I guess the eagle.
The eagle.
Hawk. Yeah.
Because it can spot right from the top. So if you were to scale your power of seeing between 1 to 10, so you may give hawk 7, you may give yourself 5, and maybe a pigeon 3. Possible.
Right.
Now, which means that each species has a specific power of seeing.
Right.
Now, can we also take an hypothesis here that in the nature, there are various species which is having various power of seeing. So in the nature, there exists a vast power of illumination,
Okay.
and a part of which is expressed by every species.
Okay.
Against the vast power of illumination, it is expressed by every species. And what has been written there, that we have generally called that vast power of illumination as Surya Devata. Now, it does not mean there is a sun god sitting out there. It basically represents the power of illumination, a part of which is experienced by you, a part of which is experienced by someone else.
Okay.
Now, listen to me carefully. If you use certain practices, certain sadhanas, certain mantras, and you sharpen your power of perception so that you access a certain power of illumination which is beyond the normal human eyes can see. Is that possible? Logically?
So you're saying these practices help you to refine your perception.
Yes.
Okay.
These practices help you to refine your perception, and therefore you are able to access a specific layer of nature which cannot be accessible to the normal eyes. That's why I give you an example that every species may have a different power of seeing, and against that power of seeing, there can be a unlimited power of seeing or unlimited power of illumination. And by certain techniques, which has been created by our rishis at some point of time, you can access a particular aspect of that nature.
Right.
Let me try and explain you in the normal context. You have seen gymnasts,
Yeah.
right? You have seen them performing such acrobats. Now, when they are performing such acrobats, is that the laws of nature has changed for them,
No.
right? It's just so that they have trained their body
Practice. Yeah.
through practice, through a proper meditated practice, right? Which a normal body can't do it because that body has not been practiced. Similarly, we have multiple layers of perception,
Okay.
and we can somewhere enhance our perception by certain techniques, and those techniques are called sadhana,
Right.
right? Using those techniques, using certain japas, using certain mantras, you can enhance your power of perception, and therefore you tend to access a slightly more subtle reality of nature, which may not be accessible to normal people. And when you access that, are we calling that as God? Is my point. For all you know, we are accessing a slightly different level of nature. And no, I don't want to use the word nature, because when we say nature, the thought that comes is mountains, trees, jungle, right? I'm going to use the word Prakriti. Prakriti is all encompassing, right? The entire cosmos that we are talking about. So that's the limited point I'm trying to tell you.
Right. So you're saying that at the end, it is about me being able to perceive something that is beyond my current perception because of the different practices that you mentioned,
Right.
the mantras, jabas, and it could be that from what I'm hearing is it could be that these visions are different perceptions of nature
Yes.
or prakriti, like you mentioned.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'll give you another example. Suppose 1,000 years before, I'm just taking an example that if someone saw you, say, flying in an aircraft,
Okay.
where there was no concept of an aircraft, if someone sees you flying in an aircraft, what will they call you?
A goddess.
Yes, a flying goddess.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not that you have harnessed or you have taken control of the nature. It's just so you have harnessed a particular power of nature and you have used it. But someone who is not able to see that will assume you to be
God.
God,
Or an unknown entity.
or an entity who has controlled the nature. So you see what I'm saying? And therefore the idea of God comes into picture. Because that's an unknowable state.
Right.
Right? That's an unknowable state, but a state which can be accessed.
What you're saying makes me think that just because you have some kind of a powerful experience, it doesn't automatically prove that it is a supernatural entity that is at play there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
But at the same time, I would like to say that those experiences are also they are very good. They can actually transform you. Those experiences brings you closer to nature. That leads to a lot of cleansing inside. And at no point of time, I'm trying to say that those experiences are not good. Those are good experiences. But assuming that those experiences is leading me to an all-powerful controller is a little bit too much.
right.
And everybody has a different experience, you see. Depending upon the japa they are doing, depending upon the sadhana they are doing, their visions are different.
And because of that is why we have these different interpretations.
Different interpretations that comes into picture.
Right.
So it is basically a certain aspect of nature that gets revealed, or and a certain aspects of Prakriti that gets revealed. Only a certain aspect, right? But that doesn't necessarily say that, hey, there is an all powerful God,
Right.
right? And I would like to sort of bring out another aspect here, that what is wrong in considering Prakriti itself as a goddess or a god? I mean, see, Prakriti has always been there. It is all powerful. In fact, we are a product of Prakriti. So, so instead of calling out for an all powerful individual God who is controlling Prakriti, why don't we just consider Prakriti itself as a goddess?
But then again, there are certain objections there again, right, Pradhan?
Okay.
Because I think they'll start saying that nature, I'm using the word nature, is not conscious, right? That nature doesn't have a thinking mind. Nature is not capable of listening to or answering my prayers. Then how can nature be God?
What do you mean by nature doesn't have a thinking mind? I mean, you mean that nature is not consciously doing things?
Yeah, because I mean, we've already established from our previous conversations that there is no supernatural entity that is doing these things, but nature is not as well, right? Nature is not listening to my prayers.
Okay. So someone who is, let's take this example. If nature is not listening to your prayers, I would say it's the nature who is the one who is responding to your prayers, nobody else. Suppose when you pray, when you do certain sadhana, who transforms?
The person,
The
yeah,
individual,
person,
right?
individual.
If you are doing the sadhana,
Yeah.
you transform. And when you something inside you transforms, you automatically connect with a certain aspect of nature. Do you see what I'm saying? You start synchronizing with a certain aspect of nature. So there is no God out there who is saying, Tathastu, that I'm very happy with the sadhana that you have done and therefore you're going to get the boon. No. It's look at reality. I mean, if you do meditation, if you do certain sadhana, you are aligning yourself with greater powers of nature, and therefore you tend to experience your sense perception grows bigger, subtler, more deeper, and your life situations also starts changing. So it's actually nature. You're benefiting from the powers of nature by aligning yourself to the nature. And interestingly, if you see a lot of stories in Puranas, and this is very subtle, they say that even the evil, the bad guy, or the Danavs, if they basically pray to a god, the god has to
Giving
appear.
them the boon.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
It simply means that the nature or the Prakriti do not differentiate. Anybody who reaches out to Prakriti in a form, in through a sadhana, through a process, you will get aligned. It does not really matter who you are. Do you see this?
Right.
So it's the Prakriti who is actually giving you the boon. No supernatural God doing that for you.
But then this Prakriti, nature, in my view, my purview, I don't know about everyone, is very ruthless, right? Like unforgiving. I feel like my image of God is a compassionate, just protector who, whereas for nature, there is this whole question of might is right, and like things like the food chain. Again, we spoke about the food chain exists, right? So then that's not my image of God.
I'll break it into two parts, right? Are you a part of food chain right now?
Right now, no.
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 So you think God has taken you out of the food chain, or because of Prakriti, the Homo sapiens has a certain brain, a prefrontal cortex, which allows it to exist very differently from other species.
Some intellect, right? Some intellect which is not putting us in the food chain anymore. I agree. Okay.
You agree?
Okay.
So it is something which is given to you by Prakriti itself. It's a part of evolution. It's a part of Prakriti. So while you can say Prakriti is ruthless, yes, but at the same time, Prakriti has given you ways and means to deal with it. What about that? And when we say Prakriti is ruthless, it's not ruthless, it's impartial. It is same for everyone. And this is what it is. We call it ruthless because we want to be protected. right? We have a feeling of an individuality, and I'm not coming into those details right now, but somewhere we have a feeling of individuality, and that requires us to protect ourselves. Prakriti is the way it is. And this is another subtle point I want to ask you. Just because Prakriti is ruthless, or we conceive Prakriti as ruthless, are we just creating a god who is going to protect us from Prakriti?
Okay. From the conversations we've already had, I think somewhere I've understood that we project
Exactly.
what we want emotionally.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
See, the external God is just a figment of someone's imagination, and there's no way you can prove it. But Prakriti is right here, right now, and you can access it. You can access various parts of Prakriti. Second point, as humans, whether we like it or not, we want to somewhere control nature and abstract as much as we want to, yes?
Okay.
And therefore, we have sort of created a God which controls nature.
Okay.
Do you see this? So, whatever we want to, whatever we are scared of, we are just projecting something on someone and saying something like that exists. Prakriti is there, here and now. You're experiencing it.
Right.
And the important part here, Preeti, is that if you consider Prakriti as god or goddesses, you will deal with it with a lot more awareness, with lot more devotion, and not create the kind of mess we have created with the environment around.
With a lot more reverence, I
A
think.
lot of reverence.
Yeah.
We will try and create systems around Prakriti, not try and exploit it. Because this exploitation is coming from a thought process that someone will protect us.
Right.
Prakriti is something that you need to abstract as much as you can. And that is where the problem is. For all you know, Prakriti is the one which is giving us.
Yes, I get that. But somewhere we've also heard that God gives us or God teaches us virtues like being compassionate, truthful, non-violent. But we've already seen that nature is not, nature is ruthless. Nature does say that might is right and things like that.
So this is how the conceptions gets created. I see from where you are coming, and this is a problem when we create a supernatural God giving all those dictats, right? Let's understand this. Let's take one specific virtue. Which virtue would like to take?
Non-violence.
Let's take non-violence. Now, non-violence is a virtue. How does it help?
It helps us to survive as a society.
As a society, we
Right.
sort of try and being little compassionate to others and don't kill, and that's what non-violence is all about. Now, if we use non-violence, our chances of survival is very higher in sort of a community. But can non-violence be taken as is, as a commandment, or it has to be seen from a specific perspective?
No, it has to be seen from a specific perspective.
So if someone is attacking you, can you
Yeah.
practice non-violence? You can't. You need to protect yourself. So which means all these virtues has to be seen from a specific
Point of view.
point of view. So does the God give you those point of view, or as a human you create your own point of views?
I think we create our own point of views.
Right? Now, the beautiful part is that if you look into the ancient wisdom, they don't talk about these virtues, they talk about dharma.
Okay.
Right? I'm not getting into too much of depth of dharma. Dharma is something that maintains order, that maintains balance. Balance of what? Balance of Prakriti. Which simply means that when you observe nature very closely, you will exactly know how nature functions, how Prakriti functions, how Prakriti is in balance. And when you understand that and you align yourself with that balance, when you align yourself with the balance, you start elevating yourself, you start growing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, all these virtues that you're talking about, which is a part of Dharma, is again an outcome of Prakriti only. There is no supernatural entity who has given you do XYZ. If you watch the nature, Prakriti very closely, you will find out what are the basic values that you need to run in your life to align yourself.
Right.
So it's not the God, it's
Prakriti.
Prakriti.
So somewhere, I think if I were to give you a choice, and I think I already know, if I was going to make you choose between a supernatural god and and Prakriti, I am fairly certain that you will definitely choose Prakriti.
Yeah, if you have to ask me to choose one aspect
Yeah.
of God, then I will choose Prakriti as goddess, mother goddess, purely because, I mean, if I'm aligned with Prakriti, something that I can at least understand, something that I can see and feel, I can do something called a Chitta Shuddhi, right? I can align with Prakriti and and understand Dharma, the better way to live. So there's a lot that can be done.
Right.
And there will be a sense of responsibility also. So, yeah, I mean, given a choice, instead of believing in something which is supernatural out there, I would rather want to be in the lap of Prakriti.
Because when we start looking at Prakriti as God, then we start praying to Prakriti, and then we start putting these different attributes on Prakriti, right?
Yes, you have a point there that if we get stuck with any image, that becomes a full stop for us, and the inquiry stops,
Right.
right? And that can be the real danger. Then you say, hey, Prakriti is the god or goddess, and the matter stopped. Then the inquiry stops. In fact, I am reminded of something very beautiful about Lalita Sahasranama. This is something that some of us may be taking the name of goddess. There is around 1,000 names she has, and which are various aspects of goddess, which is like various forms of goddess. You can say various forms of Prakriti. But there are few names like Nirguna, Nirakara, means without akar, without guna. Achintaya, that is without thought, right? That not without thought. I mean, you cannot think about it.
Right.
So, somewhere even the wisdom says that you start with a form that you can associate with, meditate on that form, and at some point of time, go beyond that
Beyond
form,
that. Okay.
right? The challenge is when we get stuck, then you're holding on to something else again. It's important. Say, for example, when you're creating a building, you need a scaffolding. But once you've created a building, you have to remove this.
Right.
You have to remove the scaffolding in the same way that these forms are required for us to meditate upon, for us to create the devotion, bhakti, and more importantly, to cleanse our system, which is called Chitta Shuddhi, so that we come to a stage where we can ourselves discover and realize the truth which is beyond form. And that's what ancient wisdom is all about.
Wow. So then for beginning the question that we started with, I think, does that mean that the visions that people say that they have of God are they are different perceptions of Prakriti?
To a lot extent, yes. But at the same time, lot of rishis and a lot of saints, they have never given any form aspect of their visions. They have spoken about the expanse, the formlessness,
Right.
right? So when you are experiencing a particular aspect of Prakriti, your experiences will be different. But when you get into a stage where you go beyond those forms, you experience an expanse. That expanse is same for everybody who is there, right? Which is the base of our Upanishads. But coming back to the point, Preeti, those visions, those experiences are their experiences, not yours.
Yeah.
It is their truth, not yours. And if you need to hold on to their truth, it will again come from a space of faith. And the faith can help you, but at some point of time,
You'll start questioning
you
it.
can start questioning it. So the best is to discover your own truth, isn't it?
So you're saying that there is, a better, I would rather discover my own experiences
Right.
and my own truth.
Right.
So how do I do that? How do we get started on that?
So why don't we do a thing? Next episode, let us go ahead and talk about how do we discover the truth or the God, which is not based on a faith, which is self-revealing, which is in the direct experience, which is same for everyone, and which does not change in time. If you experience all of it, then for all you know, you will come closer to truth. And through that window, you realize what God is all about.
I think we've just dispelled all the notions that we already have.
Yeah.
So now let's, go towards that path of discovery of.
Let's go there.
Yes.
Let's go there. Because the idea of having a supernatural God sitting out there, I mean, you have to go basis faith.
Right.
Because there's no way you can experience it or prove it or disprove it. Prakriti is beautiful. You can actually connect with Prakriti and follow a certain steps, follow Dharma and cleanse yourself. At the same time, you can also use your intellect, which we are going to use it, and discover an aspect which is changeless, which is permanent, which is self-revealing, and that may be something that we can experience.
I look forward to it, Badan. So when you're saying experience, that's Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava that's going to come in, right?
We will basically discuss on all those things.
Perfect.
And to our viewers, we conduct a lot of workshops on Upanishads where we help you understand the ancient wisdom and use those in your practical life today. If you are interested to be a part of those workshops, please register your name and number, which is there in the link, which is in the description below. And if you like this conversation, I'll request all of you to please like it, to share it with people who may benefit, to comment. I look forward to seeing you all again. Let there be grace in our seeking. Namaste.